Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you well from wherever you watch this channel. Now, Cabinet Secretary for Health CS Duale has found himself in trouble with the courts because the courts did give the health ministry strong or strict orders not to go on with the construction of the Ebola quarantine. But based on the court's directive right now, it's as if Duale went against the court's directive. And that is the main reason why you find that Duale has been directed to appear on the 23rd at 11 a.m. for the mitigation and sentencing after being held responsible for non-compliance with the court's orders. So, for those of you who've been following this story of Duale and the Ebola quarantine, you realize that the court emphasized that all public authorities are required to fully obey judicial decisions. Again, the court stated that the court orders are binding and cannot be selectively followed depending on government preference or policy priorities. LSK at one particular time said the ruling reinforces the importance of the rule of law. It noted that ongoing court orders undermines public accountability and weakens constitutional governance. Now, Duale is supposed to appear in court on the 23rd June 2026. Why? Because Duale is believed could have gone against the court's directives. Now, what is happening here is that this is not the first time the courts are making this kind of move. There was a time, and it was around, I think, somewhere there in 2024 or early 2025, and Masengeli, the DIG, was required to produce someone who had gone missing. So Masengeli defied almost all the court orders, was never going to the courts, was all the time. When the courts would require him to appear, you would see Masengeli is in Isiolo. Masengeli is organizing another meeting somewhere. The DIG is somewhere. So he would create this kind of meetings so that he doesn't appear in court. But then the courts, after looking at the game plan from DIG Masengeli, what the courts did is that they decided to sentence Masengeli. And he was supposed to be arrested and taken to the prison. I think it was I don't remember the prison, but which prison, but the directive or the order had been issued that he be arrested and taken to prison because the courts had already finalized matters his arrest. Now, I'm very much sure that Duale is not going to report to court. Duale, Duale, let's be honest, Duale ni mtu ambaye anajiona yeye ni mtu amefika. He's not going to show up in court, and that will prompt the courts to now issue a warrant of arrest. Duale might decide to send his legal representatives, because of course he's entitled to getting a representative, and he can do that. He can run away from the law or from the court's jaws by making sure that the only person who represents him is the lawyer. And should there come a time whereby the courts will demand that he must appear him in person, Duale knows very well that he's going to deal with that issue when it comes the right time. So as we speak right now, if you've been following this story of Duale and the courts, Duale ni kama alikiuka mambo ya koti na akaenda ahead na kutengeneza quarantine. Ili swala la quarantine, ladies and gentlemen, ni swala zito, ni swala ambalo serikali haitaki kuliongelea kwa saizi. Wanajua kabisa Wakenya wamekerekwa, wanajua kabisa Wakenya hawana raha na ile swala la quarantine, lakini wametengeneza. Alafu wanasema kutengeneza haimaanishi kwamba tumeleta mtu wa Ebola. But you see, what the government of US wanted was that you construct the quarantine. If we get a patient who has Ebola symptoms, that patient will be taken to that quarantine. So even if Duale tells us that that's just a quarantine, but there is no activity in it, What we are being confronted with right now, ladies and gentlemen, and I agree with the court that Duale must be arrested. Duale has been arrogant. I mean, I remember seeing a reaction between Duale and a certain member of parliament in a certain committee. Duale was termed to be very, very, Duale, people used to compare him to watu kama Idi Amin, mtu ambaye alikuwa ambiliki. So wanasema kwamba Duale ambiliki. Duale knows very well that what he's doing is to his advantage. So perhaps if you're watching this video and have not subscribed, take 1 second and subscribe, like this video. Till you catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.